we have Art Laffer, former Reagan economist, Presidential Medal of Freedom recipient. And on top of that, we have Florida Congressman Byron Donalds. It doesn't get any better than this. All right, gents, I kind of hope you heard my opening riff. Byron, I'll go to you. I'm expecting a tough blockbuster speech from Mr. Trump on Thursday before the New York Economics Club. And I think he's going to hit all the, here's what he'll do, and here's what they didn't do, that kind of thing. What you say, Byron? What are you thinking here?
Viewing the speech on Thursday, exactly right. Donald Trump's going to do and lay out his economic agenda, which worked for the United States of America. People got to have to go back to late 2016 when our economy under then President Barack Obama was very stagnant. The Obama-Biden administration was putting out the talking points for really a couple of years about people needed to expect just stable, low growth. That was going to be the new norm in America's economy. In comes Donald Trump. We changed tax policy. We changed energy policy. We cut massive regulations at the federal level. And lo and behold, we had one of the greatest booms in economic growth in the history of the country. And the wage gap, the things that the Democrats love to talk about, the wage gap was actually lowered under Donald J. Trump. Contrast that with Kamala Harris. We still don't even know what the details are on her economic plan. And you hit the nail on the head. Her child tax credit plan that she has is the same one they stuck in the American Rescue Plan, which created the labor shortage, which unleashed this inflation back in 2021. She already broke the economy once. America, please don't let Kamala Harris break it again. We need Donald Trump.
Yeah, $2 trillion. I love that. $2 trillion in additional spending on top of wage and on top of price controls and rent controls, and that includes a boost in housing. But Arthur, let me go back to first principles with you. What I'm arguing and what I believe Mr. Trump understands is that growth is so important. I don't mean government stimulus and subsidies. I mean private sector growth, investment growth, what we used to call capital deepening for business equipment and technology and all manner of innovation, right? In other words, supply side growth increases the volume of apples. So therefore, the price of those apples is going to fall. Now, you taught me this apple metaphor a long time ago. That's what I'm looking for in the speech. Tell me, can he get there? Does he get it?
Yeah, you've got King Dollar. I've got apple bumper crops and apples. You know, it's very
I should have put King Dollar in. I should have put King Dollar in.
Yeah, did it.
I'll add it to the riff.
King Dollar is perfect. Thank you. King Dollar is great, by the way. but if you do increase output, employment, production, if you have a bumper crop in apples one year, the price of apples falls. If you have a bumper crop in the production of goods and services, if you use supply-side policies and there's a huge increase in the production of goods and services, the price of goods and services is going to fall. It is. If you allow more oil production, shock, oh shock, the price of oil is going to come down. If you have more oil production, you'll have the same demand and the price of oil will come down, and that'll be there. That is exactly what Trump should talk about. My view, I've loathed to tell him ever what to talk about. He's done pretty well on his own. But what you want to do is supply-side economics to create an increase in output, employment, and production. And then you want to have monetary tightness to make sure that inflation doesn't follow, so you make sure prices are coming down. Holding the monetary base constant and increasing output is the exact way we should go. And of course, drill, baby, drill. You should have also all the stuff on transparency and health care. You should look at all these other policies as well. He's got the perfect formula for a new prosperity. And I just hope he can make it and sell it to the people, because we need him back.
Well, I think you will. I mean, I'm looking for a blockbuster speech. You know, Byron Donalds, one thing that I really like, in recent speeches, Mr. Trump has been talking about the Trump Trade Reciprocity Act. This is a great way, I think, to protect America from unfair trading practices. In other words, if Japan would work with us and lower their tariffs or their non-tariff barriers, then we would do the same. On the other hand, if they don't, or if China wants to raise their tariffs, then we will reciprocate by a tariff hike on our side. In other words, you play ball with me, I'll play ball with you. I like that approach. To me, that's a modern-day free trade approach. What do you think about that, Byron?
I'm going to come to that in a minute, Larry. Art, I want to thank you for bringing back King Dollar. That gave me a flashback to another network. Love hearing about King Dollar. That's where we need to go in America, everybody. King Dollar policy.
Thank you.
But to your point, Trump's trade approach, in my view, is the right approach going forward. I'm somebody that comes out of the school of free trade policy, but we have to acknowledge that the trade agreements that have been written in the past have not been enforced by these other countries, and definitely not by the federal government. We frankly got a little too happy with the fact that we were the only dominant economy in the world, so we could have lax enforcement of trade policy, but not today and not going forward, because who suffers is the working men and women in our country. Donald Trump is right on this. If you have a trade/tariff policy, that as long as you play fair, we're going to be fair and even and open. But if you do not, we're going to hold you accountable. That makes sense, not just on an economic perspective. It makes sense in everybody's normal day life. That's why the policy will work. It is common sense.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. You know, Art, one other thing. With lower tax rates, the Laffer curve comes in. There's a piece by Larry Lindsay, okay? He's a smart guy. Remember, he wrote The Growth Experiment about the Reagan tax cuts.
I do.
By the way, I hope everyone goes and sees the movie Reagan. We'll talk about that later in the show. It's a fabulous movie. But, Arthur, in 2016, before the tax cut was put into place, corporate income tax revenues were $312 billion. This is 2016. Okay, now, last year, 2023, there were $410 billion. So they go from 312 to 410. Now, the CBO said that by last year we'd only be at 358. We're at 410. This is from Larry Lindsay. So corporate revenues, a la the Laffer curve, are 14.5% higher than officially estimated, which shows, I think, that dynamic scoring and the revenue feedback effect from less tax avoidance that you've taught us and stronger economic growth. I mean, I don't think the corporate tax cuts cost us a dime. We've actually made money in revenue terms in this over a period of actually less than, they have these 10-year budget windows. Okay, so 2016, this is 2024, 8 years, we're way ahead. Larry Lindsay chronicles this beautifully, Arthur. This proves your point, for heaven's sakes.
Yeah, well, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, Larry, did pay for itself in the first 2 years. Tax revenues, total federal tax revenues, were much higher than the 2 years preceding that. By more than the 2 years preceding were higher than that. This paid for itself clearly. Now, there was a lot of return funds coming in from foreign-held profits abroad. But as you say, even corporate taxes are up. Even corporate taxes. But what you really also look at, Larry, is with the corporate tax rate down so much, a lot of the other taxes came in higher because we had higher growth than we would have had, lower poverty, lower despair, less unemployment benefits. All of that came in. The corporate tax cut paid for itself. This is one of the problems I have with Kamala Harris, that she doesn't understand this stuff. And if she tries to raise that corporate tax rate back up to 21 to 28%, it's going to undo the magic that was done by by Trump's corporate tax cut. And frankly, it'll lead to a lot worse situation. Does she really think corporations and rich people are so dumb as to not know how to shelter their income, to not know how to move it offshore? Of course they know how to do that. Lowering those rates make it taxes are fair, and they'll pay a lot more,
by the way,
just like they always have done.
By the way, over $2 trillion of U.S. cash parked overseas came back home. Over $2 trillion.
Yes.
Byron Donalds, last thought. Are you going to call Mr. Trump tonight and make sure he incorporates King Dollar and the Laffer curve in his speech Thursday? You going to call him up for us? He'll take your call. Larry, he loves you. He'll take your call. I know he loves you. You're going to Laffer curve, King Dollar.
Something tells me I don't need to call him. He's watching all the time. But look, I think President Trump's going to do a phenomenal job on Thursday. Look out for next week, Larry. I think this debate's going to be a big one. I think Donald Trump's going to hit a home run because his core signature policy outside of the border was tax policy. The Democrats love saying that it was tax cuts for the rich and it cost $2 trillion. All of that was a lie. We actually made more revenue into the federal government from the quote unquote rich guy than under Barack Obama's tax policy. That is a fact. It was a great recipe of tax policy for the United States of America.
Yeah, you know what? His speech on Thursday before the New York Economic Club, that is a prelude. It's a bridge right into that debate. You're 100% right. You two are fabulous. Yes. Art Laffer, Congressman Byron Donalds, we appreciate it ever so much.